Hey, I'm Pastor Williams, and welcome to Break Time. Today, I'd like to talk about being turned up. Many of us have heard this phrase used quite often. People talking about they're going to get turned up. They're going to have fun. For those of you who are not familiar with this phrase, let me educate you for just a moment. This slang turned up is often used to describe a state of being loose, out of control, and carefree. To be turned up is to have fun without worries or any concerns about life. Sounds like fun, right? All of us would love to be turned up. I believe at times we need to have fun and enjoy life. But there are moments when being too turned up can go terribly wrong. Being in a constant state of living carefree can be detrimental. There's a story in the Bible about a son who one day decided that he would get turned up. The Bible records a parable in Luke chapter 15 that states there was a man who had two sons. The younger son said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. This son took his inheritance and squandered it on parties and lavish living. He was turned up with not a care in the world, in the club, having a great time. And what was given to him as a gift for his future, he squandered through destructive living that brought him immediate self-gratification. Jesus uses this parable to describe humanity's relationship with God. His example of the son who squanders his gift from his father can be applicable to many of us. Ask yourself, how many times have you squandered the gifts or used what you have been blessed with for your own self-gratification, as opposed to what God had purposed them for? This son in the text chose pleasure over purpose, and as a result, he lost everything. Destructive living is a downward spiral and causes people to hit rock bottom. In this text, we see that the son hit rock bottom, but instead of returning home, he decided to try to handle things on his own. Sometimes our pride, family, can cause us to live beneath our potential. At that moment, the son could have returned home, but I imagine that he was embarrassed by how he squandered his inheritance. Nevertheless, the Bible tells us that he came to his senses and decided to return home. This is the beauty of this parable that Jesus tells. No matter how far we go off track, we always have the option of getting up and making it right. This son thought that he would return to his father and he would be rebuked and punished. But the Bible says when he returned to his father, he was waiting with open arms. This is grace at its best in the biblical text. When the son returns, grace is waiting for him. Grace has often been described as God giving us what we don't deserve. The father in this text says, "I know you were out there and turned up, having a great time, but guess what? I'll never turn you away." Family, this grace is what God gives us on a daily basis. We may get turned up and off track, but God is always there, and God will never turn you away. In this season of celebration, when people are graduating and summer is upon us, we all want to get turned up. I'm not saying don't, but be responsible. Be responsible over the life that God has given you. And understand that when you get too turned up, God will never turn you away. God is always there, extending grace and mercy to you. Peace and blessings, and until next time, may God be with you and may God keep you. Pastor Williams.